Hello everyone, this is the Millennial Investor here with the September update for my Lending Club and Prosper accounts. Let's go ahead and get starting with the Lending Club account. I'm going to open it up here and you're going to see that right away my adjusted account value is up several $100s plus more due to interest over this last month. I invested about $200 more into the system. I made about $50 to $60 worth of interest. And I also reviewed a number of my earlier notes early on that I kind of invested into blindly and had some high debt to income ratios and some high public record amounts. And I kind of sold those off at small losses, which caused me to dip a little in terms of the net annualized return, but only a couple percent or like a percent and a half or something like that. And I fully expect to recover from it over this next month. In terms of defaults, charge-offs, things like that, I've had none. So 7, 8 months into this platform, and I've had zero grace or worse. I mean, I do occasionally get a grace period note, but if you address it quickly, you can resolve it without it being an issue. So if they make their payment, which they oftentimes do, you have to think to yourself whether or not you're going to keep that note or not, and typically I will be more than glad to sell that note for a small loss should it keep my portfolio value really strong. But that's up to you. Things are looking good here. In terms of the statistics of the account, if we get a breakdown, we'll notice that I'm still at 13.1% or so over 13%. I have about $47 worth of interest built up at this moment, but that number is going to probably hit between $60 and $70 for the month of September. So even if I have a few grace period notes here and there, I shouldn't have much of an issue, and I should be looking at about $50 for this month. Things are looking really good in terms of everything else. I've had about $1,000 worth of turnover. That just means that I've kind of reinvested about 13% of what I've put into Lending Club. And that's really good because it just kind of helps build that compound interest, and things are looking really well, really healthy. So Lending Club account is doing exceptionally well for this month or for last month, and based on what I've seen, it's going to continue to do well throughout this next few months. A breakdown of my portfolios, and these aren't 100% up to date, but just so you can kind of see what I have invested in. Everything seems to be doing well. I created a questionable category, just some notes that I'm currently monitoring in case I do feel the need to sell them or something. But right now they're doing great. Just a note that I traded that's doing great. I also bought a single note for $250 that was at 20%, and that one is also making all the payments on time and doing great. So, as long as these people don't have delinquencies, don't have any public records, have a low to debt to income, things like that, that you can view, you can invest in them if it does seem credible. Yeah, so Lending Club's great. In terms of my Prosper account, if we break it down, I'm about $1,040 right now. I've also had zero grace, zero late notes on this, so I believe I made about an additional $10 this month, which on $1,030, $10 is pretty good for a single month. That's that 12% that I've been trying to achieve. So I am achieving that. In terms of the notes, things are, doing great. Some people are paying them off. Things are getting sold here and there, but things are going good. One of the reasons I sold some of my notes early is back when I still didn't 100% know what I was doing. I thought that some of my notes were defaulting, but they actually weren't. But I sold them off because they were riskier notes. And it's kind of ironic that one of the first notes that I sold off, and I bought at 25, but I sold at 26.60. One of the early notes that I sold off, I kind of realized that I had made a mistake, but in reality, that note ended up going late. So had I kept this note, I would have felt a $23 loss about. And by selling it, I made a $1.50 profit, and now I'm invested in notes that don't have two public records and things like that. So it was actually a really good move to do that, and that's why I was looking at some of my other notes to make sure that this doesn't happen. In terms of this, though, You might notice that I'm investing hundreds more into Lending Club and not into Prosper. In fact, I haven't actually put any new investments in Prosper for the past several months. And that's because when a note does go late or goes into grace period, you cannot sell it. And that's kind of a problem. If I want to sell a note at a 10% loss or something, you can't do that on Prosper. You had to have to take the entire loss if they can't recover your money. Whereas on Lending Club, if a note actually does go late, oftentimes you can sell it for that 10% loss, and more than a lot of people would be happy to take that note off your hands for 10% or something like that. So in terms of which platform I like more, I'm leaning heavily towards Lending Club, and I'm going to invest more, but I'm still going to leave my Prosper account open. It's only $1,000, and it's not that big of a deal if something would happen and a note or two goes late on this account. It's just more from monitoring both platforms. Yeah, $1,000 is important, but you know what I mean. Hopefully. Okay, but yeah, both platforms are going great. This month was great, and I forecast next month being exceptional. So, hopefully you like what you see. If you have any questions, please leave them below. Feel free to like, subscribe, whatever you'd like to do. But this is the Millennial Investor signing out, and I will see you guys next month. Peace.